Hi, this is Aaron from the Boyne District Library. I'm here to introduce the Boyne Writes program. The idea of the program is very simple. People make zines and then exchange them with each other. So, what is a zine? A zine is really just a small booklet, usually made on a copy machine. So I have some examples here. Here's one about the Hamilton musical production. It summarizes it, but it also gives a review. So you can see it's very thin. This one's all about economics. Here's one called The Pain Tree, which is full of poetry, and it has some nice illustrations. This one is a comic, so zine is a nice way to do a comic. This is a book a high school class made of a bunch of different patterns they made in class. Some really nice ones. Very small one called Minimum Rock and Roll. This is speculative fan fiction based around the Red Hot Chili Peppers. These crazy windsock guys. So you can see zines can really be about anything. They can be picture-based. I almost forgot to show you this booklet I found at Challenge Mountain in Boyne City. It essentially is a zine. It's called Memories of Yesterday, and it's about this guy, Gordon Neff, who carved all these wooden birds. And there's a lot of details, but it's not comprehensive. You know, it's just like, hey, I'm going to tell about some stories from my life. This one is called Talking Pittsburgh. So I got the book, and I haven't read this yet. But with the book, he included the zine that he made. Anyways, but you can see just black and white, thin, made on a copy machine. So, small booklets, that's what zines are. To participate, you make your own zine and you send it to the library. We make the copies, and then we send it back to you with a pack of zines from other participants, including your own zine. So to register for Boyne Writes, you go to our website, boynelibrary.org, and on the home page there, if you scroll down a bit, there will be a link to Boyne Writes, and at that page there will be a button where you can register. And if you register online, we will send you a packet that includes the Boyne Writes zine, guidebook and instructions that I made, that kind of is instructions for how to participate, what to do, and just guides for making zines. And then I'll also send you a blank zine for you to fill out to get started. But really, you don't have to register to participate. You can just mail your own zine to us. So the second half of this video, I'm going to give instructions for how to make a zine. I'll basically show you how I made this one. Okay, so how do you make a zine? Well, the first thing you have to do is decide what you're going to make. Don't worry about it too much. Just pick something that you think is interesting, that sounds fun to make. Something that is important to you in some way, but again, like if it can be autobiographical, but that doesn't mean it's your entire life. You can just talk about some interesting things that have happened to you. It can be biographical, like in the way that my grandma used to tell me stories that I wish I had written down. It can be drawings, it can be comics. So comics are a nice way to combine art and a story. Perhaps you take photos and you want to just have a way to collect all these photos that you've taken, or talk about them briefly. Or maybe you have a bunch of family recipes, or maybe you know how to do something really well. Maybe you want to talk about your 5 favorite albums of all time and talk about why they're your favorite. So keeping it simple is very important. Okay, so the zine we're making is 3 sheets of white paper, 8.5 by 11, folded in half to make a little book. So there's an infinite number of ways to make a zine. This is just the way we're doing our format. It's very easy for copying. So the Boyne Writes zine, that's how it started. So this is the final product. This is after it went through the copy machine. And it kind of comes out all smooth, but it didn't look this smooth when I started. So I'm not going to show you every piece of this zine, but I want you to take a close look at how a lot of it is just paper that's glued on top of each other. I did that to correct errors. I did that as a way to kind of reposition things. I did have access to a computer on some level, so I actually planned the text out a bit before I wrote it down, but then I but then I decided to write it all by hand. I added some drawings and some images that I cut out from magazines. But for the most part, I kept it pretty loose. I knew what I wanted to do, I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't know how exactly it was going to look. I'm not saying you can't try to make it look perfect from the beginning, but I like to say don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. Okay, so then important tools that you might use are glue sticks. You can glue paper on top of the paper as much as you need to correct errors, or maybe the whole thing is glued together. Maybe you have a computer and a printer and you can print out sheets and then paste those in. It's great for collaging, so scissors and glue stick are my two most important tools outside of a pen. So if you're making your zine and you feel like you've messed up, I want you to know that you probably haven't. Just remember, you can always keep layering on new sheets of paper. You can make correct little errors. In the end, as long as it lays flat on a copy machine, we can turn that into a page on your zine. You can add more pages if you really want to. You don't have to use all 3 sheets even. If you want to just use 2, that's perfectly fine as well. If you have any other questions about the Boyne Writes program or making zines, you can contact me at this email address. You can call me at the library and leave a message. You can contact me through Facebook, through the Boyne District Library Facebook page. Also, there's tons of information out there just about zines in general, so Google's a nice resource just for ideas or any other tips. So happy writing, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.